Hello everyone, it's Leon here, and I am with Joel.
Hello.
Who has been playing the Bureau XCOM Declassified.
That is definitely the first take we've done of that as well.
Now, what did you give it?
I gave it 7 out of 10.
Okay, so a good score, not a great score, but a good score.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. A good game, not a great game.
So just break down what the game is. We're seeing a lot of shooting here. It's obviously not just that. Explain the mechanics.
Yeah, so from here it looks basically like a cover shooter, but as you can see from the bottom of the screen, you've got 3 men in your squad, and you can here we go, and you use this mode called Battle Focus to direct those 3 men in your squad. So you've got various options depending on their skills. So this is an engineer who I'm getting to place a rocket turret around somewhere, and the other guy is a recon, so he's a sort of snipery dude, and different classes have different skills. All of them you can just sort of move them across the battlefield into cover, tell them who to attack, you can set them on sort of general attack or to attack specific people, tell them to try and do sort of critical hits, that kind of stuff, and you've got to essentially use the surroundings and your squad and your guy, your William Carter there in the middle, to take on the alien invasion. You have to try and keep them stocked up with health because they do die, and if they go down, you can revive them. If they go down and you don't revive them, then it's good night forever. So it's got that kind of XCOM permadeath worry hanging over it, but with a sort of squad shooter, third person cover overlay type thing.
How well does it tie into sort of XCOM as we know it then? Because obviously it's more actiony third person thing, but you still got this quite dense tactical layer, or it looks like at least.
Yeah, well, I mean it's XCOM in a couple of ways. What in sort of XCOM chronology, it's essentially the first XCOM game because it tells you how the actual XCOM initiative was started. So it's set in 62, please don't quote me on that.
62, 63.
When it's basically the first of the alien invasions that XCOM have to deal with, and you get taken to this bunker and this sort of old dude goes, we are launching this initiative to fight back, blah, blah, blah. So that is how XCOM got started. So that's really what it is, in terms of like the canon. In terms of gameplay, as you can see, it's a less tactical than most XCOM games. It's no longer turn-based or anything like that. They've gone for a sort of more immediate approach. So you control your man, you shoot, you throw grenades, you dash around, you roll and stuff like that. So it's got all the kind of staple third-person cover shooter mechanics, but then they've also fused it with this kind of squad thing. As I was playing it, I realised that it's basically its closest similarity in terms of another game is the Mass Effect trilogy, because you look at it, you've got 3 people, you can tell them where to go, you can tell them what powers to use, and everything goes into sort of slow-mo in this, as time stops in Mass Effect. So that's kind of what it's like gameplay wise, but it just has that extra layer of scariness, because if people die, they really do die.
Are you sort of managing a base and research and things like that? Because that was you could spend in the last XCOM game. You could spend hours just at your home base, just researching and messing around.
Yeah, so there's like a watered down version of that. There is a base. There's a sort of underground bunker, which actually looks really cool. It's got sort of old school screens and bleeping things and radios.
I love the
and
kind
stuff
of the
like
tech.
That. That's great, and you can sort of run around it in your little pinstripe suit and be very, very gruff with everyone. So that's cool. However, in terms of actually interacting with it, it's not quite as enjoyable. You can speak to people and get sort of extra missions and side missions and stuff, and if you recover things in the field, you can get upgrades and that kind of stuff, but it doesn't have the same sense of kind of base expansion or researching and stuff that something like Enemy Unknown had. So it doesn't have that satisfying layer that the other game had, because that was really good fun in Enemy Unknown, building your base and sort of planning what you wanted to specialise in, what you wanted to spend your money in, and that kind of thing.
And it was a big deal, wasn't it? Because if you chose poorly with research or artifacts or capturing prisoners or anything, you not ruin the game, but you made life very hard for yourself.
And you could basically lose kind of countries and continents if you didn't have the right stuff or the right coverage to help them in time. They could basically go dark and go under. This doesn't have that same kind of thing. It does have a map from which you pick your missions, but what I played, it wasn't like if you pick this one you can never do this one. They do sort of come and go, but you seem to be able to do most of them, and it wasn't like, and they're all set in America, it wasn't across the world, and it wasn't things like if you don't go here you'll miss out on this, that or the other, or panic will set in or anything like that. So it's like it's got all the things that XCOM games have, but it's just toned quite a lot of them down or semi-sacrificed them in the name of being a slightly more immediate. And I suppose the theory is more exciting gameplay style, but actually I found that it didn't end up being more exciting. I found that the tension created by the turn-based style of gameplay was actually more interesting. I mean, like you've seen here, I've been running back and forth, reviving my squad quite a lot. This bit was quite hard. Whereas in the other game, really, reviving your squad was pretty unlikely unless you had the right class of character within a turn distance away, because otherwise they were gone. But this, really, unless you all go down at once, you can kind of just sprint and help anyone. So I didn't lose anybody. So it kind of pretends to have that same permadeath thing, but the reality is you're unlikely to be as affected by it as you were in XCOM, so you don't, in Enemy Unknown, so you don't have to be quite as careful.
Okay.
And although it's more immediate shooting like this, and although time does slow down when you're in battle focus, you can't make as well structured plans in this kind of gameplay style as you could in Enemy Unknown. You could really like plan your approach and kind of assess things better because you had a turn in which you could kind of take your time, take as much time as you need, and you don't really have that here. Time does slow down, but people do still move and get shot and fly about while you're trying to decide what to do.
I mean, one thing I noticed when I was putting this together is you were pushing your sort of men quite far forward, like in proper XCOM. You move like a couple of squares at a time and you wait to see what happens. With this, you were pushing everyone up on the flanks, moving people around quite large distances.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible. I'm just rubbish at this, but it is, you could get by doing that, and also like there's kind of sometimes rushing the enemy is actually the most effective way of winning. Like if you could flank someone early on, you could take them down quite quickly, and that's kind of the problem, is sometimes you need to be tactical to win, but actually quite a lot of the time you can just go full on Rambo and kind of let your squad do what they want and still succeed, which sort of undermines what they're trying to do with it.
How good is the AI? Because we see you running back and forth past the Muton there, and he wasn't really reacting.
The AI is a bit duff on both your squad side and the enemy side. The enemy's not too bad, actually. I mean, Mr. Muton's not exactly a Mensa member, but like they will respond to what you do. So if you leave someone out sort of exposed, they will try and get him. But the trouble with your squad is if you say to them, go behind cover here, you go behind cover here, and you try and keep them like flanking. So say you send one guy to the left, one guy to the right, and you try and keep them behind cover. After a while, sometimes they just run back to you, or they'll swap positions or whatever, and totally undoes your carefully constructed plan. Because if you wanted to push one guy up round the left and distract with the other one down the right, next time you look back, they're both sat next to you, or they're sort of talking to each other somewhere else. It kind of spoils things slightly.
Okay, what's the sort of the arsenal like? We're seeing a lot of kind of colourful things. We're seeing like a sectoid, is it? No, what's
yeah, he's a sort of
silicoid thing. Yeah. So
that. Yeah.
What are the kind of the arsenal like? What are the guns?
The guns feel fine. You start off with sort of normal human guns, and then you quite quickly upgrade to lasery guns. And then you've got like you say, you've got various powers, like you can throw out a silicoid. Carter has this lift ability, which is quite useful, so you can hover people in the air. And then, like I said, the other ones are really class dependent. So I used an engineer and a recon guy for most of the time. So that allows you to do things like throw out mines, throw out turrets.
What were the other classes then? Sorry.
So there's support, which is sort of medically helpful and he can do like buffs and stuff like that. There's assault, I think, which I didn't actually use. This is the other slight problem with it, is in the game Enemy Unknown, you basically had to use all the classes, or you certainly had to kind of foster abilities with them in case your guys died. The likelihood in this is that no one's going to die, so I used the same 3 guys for the whole thing. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's sort of sounding very down on it, and I'm not, actually. It is very fun, and there's a lot of good things about it. And when it works, it's brilliant. Like, when you get involved in a battle and you've used the tactics perfectly to kind of beat overwhelming odds, then it's really, really satisfying. It feels a lot more real than a lot of kind of gritty war games and stuff. But, I'm dead. So when it's good, it's great. This is the base you're in. Yeah. It's just it can't quite pull off those XCOM-y things with what it's done here.
The sacrifice is maybe that it's made of
Yeah,
lessened it.
exactly. So while I wouldn't say don't play it, just know what you're getting into. You're not going in for that kind of full fat XCOM experience. It is slightly watered down in a way that will probably appeal to some people
who maybe were put off.
Exactly, but won't necessarily appeal to the veterans. So yeah, good, but probably could have been better.
Okay, 7 out of 10. Leave a comment. Anyone that wants questions answered, and we'll speak to you later.